Are you stupid? Bro, there's people getting killed in the street. You idiot.
Don't live stream everything there.
Me and her are just me. Me and her are just me.
My pregnant wife was handcuffed by police task force in front of the whole airport. Raptor turned up unannounced, but as always, during my live.
Nothing in here, right? Mate, you just said this address, hey? You got nothing to say now. Hey, your fucking bosses will hear about this, alright?
I turned around and I seen guns out. The power that was granted to police must be kept in check. My pregnant wife was handcuffed by police task force in front of the whole airport, but she wasn't handcuffed from the front. She was handcuffed from behind, even though they clearly saw that she was pregnant and in pain. New South Wales Police Commissioner Mal Lanyon. There is around 15 to 20,000 sworn in police officers, and over 5,000 of them have engaged in some type of misconduct in the last 5 years. That is over a quarter of the New South Wales police force. Now, this is not a dig whatsoever at the police. Understand, Police Commissioner, the power that was granted to police must be kept in check. And it's you that needs to oversee this.
Several issues addressed, with the report revealing some officers are abusing their power and committing crimes they are supposed to prevent.
The Law Enforcement Conduct Commission found both officers engaged in serious misconduct.
Former police officer Christian White escaped jail after the judge said he'd made a terrible mistake when he fired a taser at the defenceless grandmother.
Former police officer Roger Rogerson, the most corrupted cop in Australian history.
The cold-blooded killing of a 20-year-old university student.
Former police officer Beau Lamar Condon has pleaded not guilty to murdering a former Network 10 presenter and his boyfriend with his service weapon.
Me and her are just me.
Do it now.
Me and her are just me.
Just you, face forward. Put your hands in the air. Face forward. Put your hands in the air. Put your hands in the air. Put your hands in the air now.
Stop acting like a fucking hacker. Come arrest me, bro. Get out of here, bro. What are you trying to put on a show for, bro? Fucking arrest me.
Is everything okay?
Face forward. Turn around and face forward now.
All right, we're here right now to talk about my arrest at the airport. Now, on that day, my wife was also handcuffed. For all of you who don't know, her hands were put behind her, like such, and then they placed handcuffs on her and they made her walk, even though they could clearly see that she was in pain and that she was pregnant. But that morning, this is how it started. I left for training, and I remember when I finished at the gym, I was walking out and I saw police cars start pulling up. There was about 7 of them. When they got out of their car, they were looking towards the gym that I go to. I was already jumping in my car. I thought nothing of it, so I just drove straight past them. And it wasn't until the afternoon when I went with my brother and a few others to a meeting. We were finishing up early, and as we were coming out, all of a sudden, police cars again. Not 1, not 2, not 3. There were several. They were standing opposite us, yeah? And as we drove out, they were driving in. And that was the second time I had seen a whole heap of police cars. And I thought to myself, that can't be a coincidence, you know? I called my wife. You remember when I called you that day and I told you?
Yeah.
And I said to you that morning, I go, Fire, I just saw all these police cars. It's weird. They're all looking at the gym that I go to. I was with one of my close brothers that morning, Salim Taba. We trained together with my personal trainer, Ali. I was a bit shocked because I was like, maybe me and Salim are not allowed to be together, you know? And then when I asked Salim, he was like, nah, my parole officer knows that I'm with you, you know? So I didn't think nothing of it. And then I explained to my wife what happened at lunchtime. Maybe this is a coincidence. And we started heading towards the airport. And I just remember you saying to me, use your blinkers, babe. And as I went to veer onto the other line, at the corner of my eye, I saw all these police cars. None of them had their sirens on, but they were at a distance and they were following. And then I said to my wife something along the lines of, this is it. I go, that's for me, I reckon. My wife didn't really get what I was talking about. She was clueless. And it wasn't until we got down the hill that takes you to the domestic airport, that's when the sirens went on. I could have went up to go to drop-offs. That's where, because I was dropping her off, obviously. But instead, I veered to the right and I veered off and then I parked up. And when I parked up, like everyone that was there at the airport was watching. So there was people coming and going, you know, obviously because it's priority pickups, yeah?
Pickups, yeah.
Yeah, so there was a lot of people that was there. And obviously I stopped the car. The first thing I thought of was my FBO order, firearms prohibition order, meaning they can search me wherever I am, whether I'm at your house, or whether I'm at my parents' house. If they rock up and serve me with an FBO order, I have to abide. And they can search wherever I am, doesn't matter where it is. Even if it's a McDonald's, they can search the whole McDonald's. That's the first thing I thought of, and I didn't think nothing of it. I just waited for them because I assumed that they were gonna come and knock on my window and say, hey, Pete, you know, we're gonna do a search of the car for firearms. But as we were sitting in there, do you remember them screaming?
Yeah, the speaker was so loud.
Yeah, like we both were sitting there and we're like hearing screaming on a speaker, and I was like, what the hell? And I was thinking, wait, is that for us? And then I turned around and I seen like guns out. What the? And I said, these guys have got freaking guns pulled out. And I was thinking, I've never done anything wrong, so I've got nothing to hide. So I said, stuff it. And I opened the door. And when I opened the door, that's when I could hear. And they were saying, get out of the car. Like, something along the lines of that. Like when I jumped out of the car, I didn't even know that you recorded. This is the thing, like I didn't tell her to record. Like I jumped out of the car because they were saying, get out of the car. And then when I jumped out, I turned around and they were saying, he was saying something, but it was so loud that I couldn't actually hear. When I realized that he was saying, get in the middle of the road, face your back to us and put your hands in the air. He wants us to get out of the car and move to the middle of the road. I said to my wife, I go, hey, I think he's talking to both of us. I thought, you know what? I'm gonna ask. So I asked the question. I said to the cop, I go, are you saying this to me or to both of us? And he was saying, I said, get in the middle of the road, put your hands up in the air. And I asked it probably another 2-3 times, and he just kept yelling at me, you know, and that's when I got frustrated. So I yelled back, and I said, fuck, is it for me or is it for both of us, you know? And as I said that, he goes, no, just you. And that's when I looked at my wife, and I was like, oh, just me, you know? And then I closed the door. The stupid thing is, I shouldn't have closed the door because I didn't know she was filming. If I had known she was filming, I wouldn't have closed the door. Long story short, I went to put my hands in the air, but he kept yelling, get on your knees. You know, like, so he wanted me to get in the middle of the road, raise my hands in the air, and then get on my knees. And then, I don't know why, but I just turned around and I said, look, I'm not getting on my knees. And he said, I said, put your hands in the air and get on your knees. And then that's when I turned around and go, I'm not getting on my knees. I got frustrated because I was like, man, I'm not a terrorist. I know I haven't done anything wrong. And if this is a FBO order, like a firearms prohibition order search, then just come and handcuff me and do your job. Like, I understand they have safety procedures in that. That's all good. You know, they are surveillancing me all the time. You know, and pretty much 24/7 I'm with my wife. And even when I'm with my friends, I'm still with my wife. When he was yelling at me and I got frustrated, that's when I said to him, you know what? I'm not getting on my knees. Come over here and friggin' handcuff me, yeah? And do what you gotta do. And I said, mate, stop playing this movie. When I said those words to him, stop playing this movie, what I meant was stop putting on a show, you know, because everyone was watching, you know? And when I was trying to yell at him, I said, oh, what'd you say? Like, he kept yelling at me, you know, and obviously I don't take too lightly to people that yell at me, you know. That's when I started going off and saying to them, enough with the friggin' movie, come here and handcuff me and do what you gotta do. The other officer yelled at me and said, all right, can you just put your hands behind your back and walk backwards? So if you see in the video, that's what I was willing to do. Put my hands behind my back and walk backwards. And then he slapped the handcuffs on, and there was no issue, you know? There was no issue until my wife got out of the car. And from the video, like, she was asking, is everything okay? And then he started mouthing off at my wife. And when she jumped out of the car, he clearly saw that she was pregnant. And for those of you who don't know, she had been in pain for a couple of days. Obviously, this is our first pregnancy. It's gonna be our first child together. Yeah, so she's struggling trying to navigate what she's going through at the moment, you know what I mean? She's got a lot of questions where a lot of family members and friends are helping her. And the police don't know this, but they clearly saw that she was pregnant. That's what I was dirty at. When you got out of the car, like, what were you thinking?
I just wanted to know that you're okay. I didn't really worry about myself. I was just worried about you, but I wanted to know what was happening.
And you've always stuck up for me through thick and thin, because for those of you who don't know, this is not the first time that she's gone through something like this. When I first went into prison, they had to figure out who I was and what I was doing, because all of a sudden the newspapers had plastered this thing under my name, and it was Kingpin. What the hell is Kingpin? And she was telling me about it while I was in prison, you know? I was thinking to myself, hey, I didn't even get caught with that much, and these guys were putting me on a Kingpin, and people who had got caught with a lot of guns, drugs and money weren't even labeled anything like this, you know? So it was confusing to me. But obviously the police were in on the big hype around mine and my brother's arrest back then. And so when I was locked up in prison, they were always searching my wife, and they were always asking her for how much money you had, eh?
Yeah.
So they assumed my wife was hiding big amounts of money, and that's the first question they would always ask her. You know, have you got any large amounts of cash inside your car? And they searched her time and time again. Throughout my whole 7 years that I was inside prison, they searched her pretty much nearly every week. She got pulled over and searched, and that's not even an exaggeration. She went through a lot. So this is not the first time that she's been through something like this. But what I was upset at was when you got out of the car and they started going off at you. When they told you to put down the phone, you were still recording, right? Until I yelled out to you?
Yeah.
So she wouldn't put the phone down when they told her to put it down, because my wife, she's been through it so much. So she understands that she doesn't have to stop recording. You know what I mean? But this guy was full yelling at her. And obviously there was all these police officers everywhere that had guns on us. And it wasn't just those two cars. So in the footage, you see two cars, yeah? But it wasn't just them. There was police cars everywhere. And I sort of realized, I think the AFP were also involved. And AFP don't get involved in these types of rubbish unless it's at the airport. And obviously that's where we both got handcuffed, at the airport, you know? So when they were yelling at her, like I said to you before, like, the speaker's so loud that we both couldn't hear. Like, there you go. She just said it herself, you know? And that's what I mean. Like, when he was yelling at her, I remember I was handcuffed and I was looking at her, and then I yelled out to her and I said, babe, stop recording and put the phone down. And she knows that she doesn't have to. But the reason why I said that is because she's pregnant and I wanted to protect her. Like, I know for a fact that there's police who abuse their power. And if they had walked over to her and went overboard, getting her under control, then far out. I probably would have went back to prison. You know what I mean? I wanted to make sure that I figure out the best possible solution to keep it peaceful. So I spoke up. Even though they told me not to speak, I spoke up and I said, babe, stop recording and put your phone down. Right? And then she put it down. And then I told her, because he was yelling at her, but she wasn't doing it. I said to her, babe, turn around and walk backwards.
Yeah, I was listening to you. What the?
She was listening to me and not the cop. And like I said to you, it's because of the freaking speaker. Like, he was yelling and we couldn't understand what he was saying. I thought they were just gonna go grab her. They can clearly see she's pregnant. So they're just gonna grab her and then move her to the side and then search me and search the car. But when I saw them pull handcuffs out and put it on her, I swear, as soon as it touched her hand, I flipped it. Like, I started going off and saying to him, like, are you serious? Like, I didn't use profanity at the time because I thought, you know what, maybe he's just gonna get a female officer to pat her down. But I thought he was gonna handcuff her in the front. And it's ugly feeling when you see someone that you love being put in handcuff, especially someone who's a female and who is pregnant. Yeah, even if it wasn't my wife, just seeing that, it was ugly. And I'm telling you right now, mate, I was raging. I could have went back to prison that day. And if I wasn't handcuffed, I would have reacted like the old Triggz, you know what I mean? I remember them slapping the handcuffs on you and your hands were back like that. And I thought they were gonna turn you around and then get a female officer to pat you down and then just unhandcuff you. But then he left you in there and then he made you walk.
Yeah. And then, did you see the female officer come? So she wasn't there in the beginning. When she came and I turned around, she saw that I was pregnant. She went, like she was shocked and she looked at the head detective.
Seriously?
Yeah. I didn't tell you that.
But she didn't tell me that.
Yeah. She was shocked and then that she didn't want to like touch me. She just looked like she felt sorry for me.
You know what I mean? This, and you wonder why I reacted that way. And that piece of shit cop that slapped handcuffs on her, like, mate, how would you feel if that was your mother or your sister, you know, pregnant, and a cop came and handcuffed her? Like, seriously, do your job to the best of your ability. But this is something that you can clearly see with your eyes that it's no threat. This is what I was freaking dirty at, yeah? And then I started going off. And when I was going off, I was saying, you piece of shit. I go, she's pregnant. You seriously handcuffing a pregnant woman, someone who is innocent, someone who's never had a criminal record in her life? This is how much I was going off, yeah? I could see him like hesitating because when he grabbed her, like he was listening to me and then he was looking like at her, but he had my wife from behind, you know? And I think he just didn't want to backpedal on what he had just done because every other police officer was watching on, yeah? So I started going off at all the cops. And I go, you fucking bunch of weak cunts. I go, it's a pregnant woman. I go, someone who's never been in trouble in her life. Seriously. And I was saying to them, take the freaking handcuffs off my bloody wife. Like that. I was going off my freaking head, you know? And I couldn't see her face because they had her back to me. So she was handcuffed, but I could just see the back of her head. And, man, I'm telling you, bro, I was friggin' frustrated that day, man. And then they started walking her, and I couldn't even talk to her, like, because I didn't want to. If I spoke to her and she spoke back to me, it just would have made me rage more, yeah? The other copper, when I started going off, he tried to drag me. And when he tried to drag me, like, I just pulled my arm. Obviously, he could have just flipped me up and smashed me on the ground. But I honestly didn't care what they were going to do. I was going to keep going off until they took the handcuffs off my wife. When I was resisting him trying to push me along, out of nowhere, the head detectives, I'm assuming, started walking towards me. And that's what made that cop stop pulling me because I was refusing to get pulled. I just kept yelling at them about my wife being handcuffed, yeah? When he walked over to me and he said to me, hey, Pete, you know, I'm just doing something along the lines of a routine stop. That's when I realized this is a FBI order search. And then I said to him, seriously? And I looked at him and I go, you can do whatever the hell you want to me. Search the car, search me, whatever you want. And I go, but you got my pregnant wife in fucking handcuffs, you dog. And I go, all of you weak cunts, like, this is how much I was going off, yeah? Everything that I'm saying right now is along the lines of what I was saying. And all of them had cameras on their chest. So these cameras that they had on them recorded everything. You know what? We should friggin' put in a paperwork to get that footage, you know, because that footage will clearly show my wife in distress. Long story short, when the boss started talking to me and I explained my frustration and I said, like, take the handcuffs off my wife, he goes, all right, calm down, bro. He goes, look, let me just quickly do this and then we'll get your wife out of the handcuffs. That made me even more pissed off because I was like, what the? And I just kept swearing and going off. And then the cop that placed handcuffs on her, he had the nerve, this friggin' flop, to come over to me and say to me, look, bro, you need to calm down because right now you're up here, you know, and we're over here. You know, if you come down to where we are, then we'll be able to have a civil conversation. He said something along those lines, yeah? This guy friggin' dumb. Like, I swear to you, I looked at him, like, what? So get the fuck out of my face. Like, you put a pregnant lady in handcuffs and you come over here and try to negotiate with me. You guys say, tell me what to do, you friggin' dog. And then I turn around to the other one and he goes, oi, I told you to calm down. Like, shut your fucking mouth. This is the way I am inside prison. This is the old Triggz. I do not care, yeah? And mind you, I'm not the only person like this. There's a lot of boys inside prison that react this way because prison officers do the exact same thing. I consider these things corrupt acts, yeah? What he did to my wife, no, I don't consider that a corrupt act, but I consider that abusing your power. And this is why I gave the Commissioner of New South Wales Police an insight on what my wife was going through that night. So the video now is up, along with videos of my guys getting searched. And obviously there's other videos of them when they came to the house where we do content at, asking me questions. But what nobody actually knew is this is something that actually happens to a lot of underworld figures, yeah? So guys like me and all these other gang-related boys, and also boys who are not gang-related, but they've been involved in heavy crimes, this is the norm to each and every one of us. People like my wife don't go through this type of stuff, yeah? And when they turn up to the house and they ask questions like, oh, do you have any fear for your safety? Do you know about the shooting that happened last week? Do you know of anyone that was involved? This is actually normal to me, yeah? So when people on my live saw these questions being asked, they were like, oh, whoa, what's going on? Maybe Triggz is still living the gangbanging life. No, I'm not. This is what they ask guys like me all the time. Now, other footages that you guys are gonna see is of the same task force, which is Raptor, turning up to one of my other friends' houses and asking the same question on the same night. By the time they were searching the car at the airport, what did they do to the car?
They thrashed it.
They ripped everything inside the car. Like, there's so much damage inside my car and they're not gonna pay for it. And I went live a couple of weeks ago about this same situation, yeah, where cops turn up and kick down doors to houses that don't even belong to us, doors to houses that we don't even live in or rent, yeah? These doors belong to our parents. And I'm not the only one that's gone through this. A lot of people, even innocent people, have got their doors kicked in. And guess what? Police don't pay for that door to get fixed. And when the police turn your car inside out and thrash it, they don't pay for any damage to your car. This is what I was trying to explain in my live a couple of weeks ago. Right? Now, you heard what my wife said. They thrashed the car. Everything was ripped, yeah? Like, I don't mind because this is what I got myself into. I decided to do crime. I decided to be a gangster. And so this has to happen to me. Even if I'm a changed man, I have to expect what I was upset at. And what this is about is my wife getting handcuffed while she was pregnant and in pain. That's the pure reason why we are making this. When you are handcuffed from behind, and look, how did it feel to be handcuffed for the first time ever in your life?
I was so embarrassed.
Wow.
It's okay, babe.
See, this is what I mean. There's that innocent person, yeah? They embarrassed her in front of the whole airport. Another cop came while they were searching, yeah? And I said to him, hey, you're the one in charge, eh? And I said, take those freaking handcuffs off my wife's hands. She's freaking pregnant and she's freaking innocent. I go, are you serious? A pregnant woman, someone who's never been in trouble in her life. He goes, mate, take her freaking handcuffs off her. But obviously I was swearing, yeah. I was going hard on the swearing. Well, I'm sorry, but I didn't even ask you what happened when he came and took it off. Because I saw him talking to you, but I don't know what he said.
Yeah, he said he was going to take it off to calm you down.
What? He's going to take it to calm me down?
Yeah, I'm going to take this off you to calm you down. And he was saying sorry that it got put on me. Like, it was just for, like, their safety.
Right, this is what I mean. Like, I understand that they have procedures, you know, and they have to do things a certain way. But the girl's pregnant, and it's not like 1 or 2 months pregnant. You could actually see her. Like, she was actually pregnant. And when they placed the handcuffs on her, they could see that she was in pain. For those of you who don't know, she'd been having pain at the bottom of her tummy. And every time I took her to the doctors, they would just tell her it's a part of your pregnancy. It's not any symptoms of you, any emergency symptoms, you know, like. But yeah, so he took the handcuffs off. Did he say anything else to you when he took the handcuffs off?
Yeah, he was asking me if I knew who you were. He's like, what's his name? He was like playing dumb. Yeah, and then he was asking me about Henry.
Oh, that's right. What did he say about Henry?
Do I know where Henry lives?
All right, for those of you who don't know, my brother Henry is 2 on 2 heat. So my wife is saying that they questioned her and asked her, where is my brother Henry? And on the night they came to this house, which is our content house, when they do our content here and then I go home, same as the rest of the boys, this house actually belongs to a friend of mine. Anyway, long story short, when they came that night and they questioned me, one of the questions was, do you know where Henry lives? And I actually don't know where my brother Henry or my brother Stephen lives. Nah, and then he was like, oh, because we just need to talk to him. To cut us long story short, they've asked that question that night. They've asked it to my wife now. They know clearly where my brother goes to hang out with his friends. They know clearly where my brother goes to when he has dinner with his wife, because my brother is also on an FBO order, so they can search him whenever they want as well, yeah? And even if he wasn't, they still search him because he's considered high profile as well. Inside prison, what's the sticker that they put up on my brother's door?
Proceed with caution.
This is what's on my brother's cell door. Proceed with caution, because he's very violent, yeah? Now, the police have got something similar to that on their system as well. You know, when it comes to my brother, no, they don't have it for me, but they have it for my brother because he's so violent, yeah? My brother's very laid back unless someone pushes him to the edge. So it doesn't matter if police confront him, like he'll just talk normally, just like I did when the police came and saw me. I just spoke normally, you know, like a gentleman. There's no need for me to speak down to police. The blokes just doing, all the blokes are just doing their jobs, you know, even the female officers, they're just doing their jobs. So I really don't care. Unless they're trying to push me in a corner, do what they did to my wife, then that's what will set me off. When they took the handcuffs off her, I calmed the hell down, ripped our car apart. And after that, I remember looking around and seeing everyone just looking at us. But these innocent people who were just going about their day have now seen 2 people, which is my wife and I, getting arrested, pulled out their phones to film it, yeah? And if these people post this footage, for the rest of my wife's life, she's gonna be all over the internet with handcuffs. Fair enough, I'm a criminal. Yeah, I was the one who was gangstering on. And this is something that I have to deal with when my son grows up. He's gonna see this, yeah? But why would I want my son to see his mother in handcuffs? My son is gonna think that his mom is also a criminal, that his mom was involved in my gang-related rubbish. These officers who abuse their power, you know, like, was to send a message to the police commissioner and say to him, keep them in check. At the end of the day, you know, there was a police officer last year killed his partner and his partner's new boyfriend. So it was a gay couple, yeah? Killed both of them. And this was a police officer. There was another police officer who tasered an old lady. Mate, she was like over 80 years old, yeah? 95, there you go. She's 95. And she died from this. And guess what? Nothing happened to him. If it was friggin' me who had tasered this old lady, I'll be sitting in jail for 20 years for murder. Because he's a police officer, he's allowed to walk away from it. What kind of bullcrap is that? This is what I'm saying. That judge, whoever you are, okay, F yourself. I'm telling you straight right now, yeah? We as a community should be treated the same. Police, they are put in power in order to protect us, all right? But when they abuse their power, they should be dealt with accordingly. This is just what I keep bringing up time and time again, all right? And so when the police go and swindle these moves by going to the media and telling them these stories in order to get the narrative going their way, they're just trying to get a stripe. They're just trying to get a pay rise. They're just trying to make sure that their boss is happy with them, yeah? But they're not caring about any consequences that happens on the streets when it comes to their little exaggerations. Or they're not caring about the consequences when it comes to situations that happen to my wife, where she's pregnant and in pain and they handcuff her from behind. They don't care her water broke. They don't care if she fell over and hit her face. But the thing is, there are police officers who care. Time and time again, I keep saying, every live I go on, yeah, I always say the same thing. They do not need more powers. Every time something happens on the streets, the police get more power. How many innocent kids that went to raves got strip searched from police using their friggin' powers, yeah? Innocent kids. How would you feel? I'm talking to all you multimillionaires and all you billionaires friggin' sitting out there, yeah? How would you feel? Because I know your kids go to raves, yeah? Like I've been to so many entertainment raves and parties, and I remember seeing all these kids spending so much money, and I was thinking to myself, oh, these kids must be celebrity. And then I found out later on they weren't. They were just the children of multimillionaires. They like being an average kid, going out and having fun. So how would you feel if your kid got strip searched, yeah? Because the police abused their power. You know, even that Jack's Law up in Queensland, yeah? They're allowed to search anyone whenever. You know, if it looks suspicious, they can pull you over and search you, pat you down, whatever. I understand that Jack's family, little Jack's family, went through a lot and they did what they needed to do in order to protect the rest of the kids that are still around today. They're a beautiful family. And I saw them all over the news when they were trying to get this law passed. I'm gonna be straight with you. This law, it's what's gonna turn our younger generation being strip searched for no reason, pulled over and patted down for no reason. These kids are not gonna trust police. I said it all the time. When I was young, all the kids loved police. All the kids trusted police. The police used to come to the schools and give us police hats, and they used to come and we used to call that day top cops. Every kid got to experience what police were about, you know, protecting the community and looking after our laws that exist. Today, you're lucky to find a kid that respects police, and that's because of the way they're being treated on the streets. So to my beautiful wife here, you know, I'm sorry for what you went through. You know, again, you know, every time my wife is going through some rubbish, it's always because of myself, you know, and her being handcuffed is one of the worst things that has happened since we've been together. I have to honestly say that, you know. That thing when you told me you were getting filmed, just in my head, thinking of your parents, your brothers and your sister, seeing you on social media with your hands behind your back handcuffed, that's what killed me when I had that in my head. I remember you going home and telling your parents the story. What did your parents say when you told them you got handcuffed?
Oh, my dad was so angry. My mom was like sad about it, but my dad was just like angry at the police, not at like you.
Like I said, this video here is not about belittling police or putting them down. It's simply just to send a message to the New South Wales Commissioner and to any other commissioner of the other states, you know. There's powers being abused. Keep these guys in check. We as a community trust police. We expect the police to lead by example. If this is the way they're gonna be, then this country is going nowhere quick.
I want to ask you a question, but I don't want to ask it while it's live because they might hear about stuff about your past that you probably don't want Instagram Live knowing about.
Look, I've got nothing to hide. Uzi, you want to put it back that way?
Yeah. Oh, man. Take it easy, yeah? All right, see you around.
The cops are back at my door again.
Are they at your door?
Are they actually? Who's at the door?
One sec, guys.
Are you going to put him on live?
Yeah.
What's going on? Not much, mate. We're just here for a time. Got any fears for your safety or anything like that?
You were just here last week.
Right?
You were just here last week.
Yeah, well, given the people you're involved with, we keep coming back, alright?
With the what?
With the people you're involved with, we keep coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Right, 77 Digger Street. Yeah, in Richmond. Yeah, beautiful. Mate, any dramas or anything like that? Any such cars? You said last time there was a couple of cars driving past you didn't like to look at.
Why'd you say that out loud for?
Huh?
Are you stupid?
No, it's my camera.
Do you think you're funny? Hey. When you acting stupid, you know that I'm on live.
You can turn it off. You can turn it off at any time.
You know you're on live and you said that. Are you stupid?
Well, turn it off then.
You fucking came here on purpose to do a job, yeah?
How are
You
you
know
meant to
you
know
know
you're
you're on like live. You know my fucking cameras are watching you.
I've
So
never been
obviously
here. I've
your
never been
bosses
here.
are gonna know full well what you've just done, right? You think that's funny?
It's funny.
Do you like seeing people killed? Do you think I fear for my safety?
What's
Do you
wrong
think I
with
give
you?
a about anyone? Huh? Does it look like I'm scared of anyone? Do I need your help? Do I need you guys here? I'm here at this place to do content. You guys know that, yeah? Alright? I'm paroled to where my parents are. Alright? You come over here to keep people safe. And then you just open your mouth like that. Are you stupid? Bro, there's people getting killed in the street. You
Don't
do
live
that.
stream everything then.
But it's not about being live stream. It's the fact that you know that it's on live. And you actually just went and said that.
Mate, I have no idea what you're doing on your phone.
Mate, you know because that's why you're here. Alright? Every officer knows that I do lives here. Yeah? Every officer knows. That's why I allow you guys to do as you speak. When you come, you can come and search. There's nothing in here. Alright? Mate, you just said this address. Hey? You got nothing to say now. Hey, your bosses will hear about this, alright? You just said that if there's a shooting at this house, this family here is an innocent family. It's because of you, alright? Alright? If there's a shooting at this house, it's because of you idiot. Get the fuck off this fucking land, sucker.
Have a lovely night.
See you, mate.
My land, you piece of
Take
shit.
it easy.
Hey? Fuck you.
See ya.
Hey, you dumb wrong. Huh? Boss is gonna hear about this, you piece of shit. No worries. Fuck my land, oh.
Today we're going to be talking about a situation that happened last week where Raptor turned up unannounced, but as always, during my live. So I was going live on TikTok as I do every week. For some reason, these guys only turn up when I'm going live. They always turn up to the house where I do my content. There's about 7 of us that do content there. We come and go as we please, obviously because the house belongs to a friend of ours. So all this commotion that has happened online ever since this was exposed is due to the fact that one specific Raptor force officer, in my eyes and in the eyes of everyone else that was watching on when live, deem him corrupt. I'm not trying to get this Raptor officer suspended. I'm trying to expose him so police can have a bad name. Like I've always said, I don't have anything against police. Police saved my mum's life once upon a time, so I have nothing but respect for police. We obviously need them because they are the ones that keep our communities safe. The reason why I'm highlighting what happened last week was because the corrupt act from this Raptor officer is the reason why our country is going downhill. Up what happened, a bit of it, and now this is the full video. Exactly what happened from mine and my wife Sweetness's eyes, because we were the two that were there. But what no one really understood was Sweetness's live was the one that was on, not mine. So throughout the night when I was going live, once I was finished, and as everyone knows, when I go live, my wife is on live as well. So pretty much everyone from my wife's side and everyone from my side watches my live, and then I turn it off and my wife does some battles. And we were in the middle of doing a few battles, well, my wife was, when Raptor decided to knock on our door. Everyone was having fun, the chat was live, and had nothing but positive banter until the knock came at the door. When the knock came at the door, I went on my phone and I looked at my cameras, and then straight away I saw that it was 3 Raptor force officers. I had said it to my wife, oh, cops are at the door. But obviously because my wife is live, there was like, I think about 140 or 170 people that was watching, and they were like, nah, he's mucking around. And it wasn't until I stood up that I heard someone, is he serious or is he not, you know? And then I picked up the phone and I was like, yeah, the police are here. And then someone in the chat said, oh, are you going to take us with you? And I said, yeah. So I turned the live around and then I gave it to my wife. She followed me as I walked towards the door, and obviously she had her live on. It wasn't my live, it was her live. I got to the door and I could see them through the glass. So I opened up the door and I only just stuck my head out. I just thought, oh, it was their routine. Obviously, like everybody knows, I'm on a firearms prohibition order, FPO, and they can search me whenever they want, which is not an issue because I had nothing to hide. when I stuck my head out, that officer, the first thing he said, how you doing tonight, Pete? He goes, just wondering if you have any fears for your safety. And I was like, man, you just came last week. Why you keep coming here? And mind you, they actually came the week before and the week before that. I didn't even say it in a rude way. Like, I was just, come in, you came last week, like, why are you here again? And then he said something along the lines of, because of the people that you associate yourself with. I'm not going to say exactly what he said because I can't remember it, but obviously my editors are going to put this in the actual video so you can hear exactly what he says. What he does is he utters the address of where my content house is, yeah? And I was actually shocked. When he said it, I was like, is this bloke serious? Did he just say that? And that's when I remember, because I just had my head out. And then that's when I started walking outside and I go, are you stupid? He was trying to say that he said the address for his cameras, which is a load of bullshit, because no officer that's ever confronted me ever in my life, yeah, even if it's at my parents' house or my own house, has ever said our address for the cameras, has ever said our address ever, you know? So when he said it, but this is what got me. When he said it with a smirk on his face. So this is the reason why I took a step towards him. I said to him, are you stupid? You know, and he said, no, I was just here to do my job. Like he pretty much backpedaled when he realized that he had made a mistake, and because I started like going off a bit, you know. And what pissed me off was like I had explained to this bloke, I go, mate, you know I'm live, and then you purposely went and said my address while I was on live, and his colleague quickly jumped in and said, oh, maybe you shouldn't have your live on. That's what pissed me off even more, because he just confirmed that he knew I was live, yeah. And like I said to you guys, the only time these guys come to that house is when they know I'm live. Never any other time, yeah. And I go there a lot. And I turned to him and I was like, it's not about me being live. It's about the fact that you guys know that I'm live. And then this fucking idiot has gone and said the address on purpose with a smirk on his face. While I was going off, I could like feel something behind my back. And it wasn't until someone that was watching from the live explained it to me, I think it was yesterday or the day before, said that when you saw me walk outside the door, you said, Papi, and they said they could hear the camera started shaking. When you saw me like walk outside, what were you thinking?
When you walked outside, like I was okay, but then when because I know when you're getting angry or your tone and what you say, and then I just was like, oh my gosh, I hope like you don't snap, or I don't know. I didn't want like any altercation. That's why I said Papi.
Yeah. So I didn't hear you say it. One of the girls had told me like her heart, what's called froze, because they heard you whisper that, and apparently everyone on your live heard you say it, and then they saw the camera shake, you know. And mind you, guys, I didn't see this and I didn't hear it. But my point is trying to maintain composure. But when his colleague got involved and said that, I was like, come on, man, you know your fellow officer just went in and did a corrupt act, yeah. Like, why don't you put him up and say, bro, are you serious? You know, take him for a walk and tell this fool, you know, and if you're a lower rank, you know, keep your mouth shut, because at the end of the day, he's the one that's done the wrong. But instead of doing that, what do? You chime in and you try to make an excuse on why he did what he did. You know, like for the pure fact that he said, maybe you should keep your live off, just shows how stupid he is, yeah? And just shows that he knew his colleague had just done wrong. That's why he said what he said. You know, the officer behind both of them, he was the one at the very back. He kept his mouth shut the entire time here. And I looked at him once or twice, and I could clearly see that he knew deep down that his colleagues were in the wrong, yeah? And he never said anything. Like, obviously, he could have jumped in and told me, shut my mouth, but he kept his mouth shut the whole time. The only thing I could think of at the time, and the only thing that was going through my head was my wife, my parents, and my son that's about to be born in 3 months, you know? And this is what made me maintain composure. But what pissed me off was the fact that this corrupt act was done on purpose, you know, like, and when I say on purpose, it was with malice, you know what I mean? He had a smirk on his face. And that's the reason why I want this Gronk to be kicked off the police force. No one in Australia wants to be saved by this Gronk. No one in Australia should trust this Raptor Force officer. And someone who is a hierarchy needs to frigging grab this flop and kick him off the force. Because I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna make sure that I expose the fuck out of this bloke, because this bloke doesn't deserve to have that uniform. This bloke doesn't deserve to have those stripes on his shoulders. I don't give a damn how many lives he thinks he saved, because I'm telling you, it's these types of cops that bring down this country, yeah? And I've explained the story back in the days of when Governor O'Shea from Lithgow Prison was doing corrupt acts, setting up inmates with drugs, you know, sending in the squad to beat up inmates, yeah? And guess what? It took an officer at Lithgow Prison to stand strong on his own 2 feet and say, you know what? I became an officer, keep inmates locked down. You know, I became an officer because it was a job that I felt that I could do to not only give to my family, but to also help me elevate in life. He didn't take this job to go and commit corrupt acts for Governor O'Shea. He didn't take this job so he could go and take his anger out on criminals inside prison. You know what I mean? Which a lot of officers, prison officers do. So he was the one that went and exposed Governor O'Shea for all the corrupt acts he was doing. He knew that what O'Shea was doing was corrupt, and he exposed it. I give nothing but respect to that officer who stood up and exposed Governor O'Shea and Intel McMurtry for the corrupt acts that they were committing inside prison. This is the reason why I always say it. I do give respect to every police officer that I come across. But what I hate is corrupt officers, you know, and I've said this story a million times of where police officers took me to an alleyway when I was about 16 years old, and they pulled out a long torch, yeah, and they were hitting it across my kneecaps. And when they were hitting me with it, they kept saying to me, plead guilty, huh? You plead guilty, yeah? And then I started saying, yeah, I plead guilty. And the funny thing of that is after they took me to the police station, I was taken to the interview room with a person who was like a welfare person, you know, someone that looks after the kids, who's supposed to be your guardian while you're getting interviewed. And as soon as I saw that person and they asked me, do I plead guilty or not guilty? The first thing I said was not guilty. And I could see in the cop's eyes that day, they wanted to kill me. Anyway, back to this drama, you know. This cop, I was giving him so much of a mouthful. And when he heard me speak about my next door neighbors, this is when I saw it in his eyes, yeah. And as soon as I started talking about our neighbors, his defense mode automatically like dropped, like his shoulders dropped, his face dropped. It was like he was no longer wanting to go to toe with me, you know, not because he was scared, but because what I was saying actually made sense to him. What I was saying was now getting into his head. What I was saying was now something that he understood was right, because I was full friggin' giving it to him, you know, because I know the law pretty much better than most criminals, yeah, because I studied a lot of it while I was inside prison. And this is why police officers can't swindle moves against me, yeah. I made sure that I learned all these laws before I got out, so they can never commit corrupt acts towards me ever again. What I said about my next door neighbors is this beautiful family next door. If anything happens to them, it's on your friggin' head. That's what I said to him, and that's when I saw his defense mode drop because he realized he was on live, and my cameras that were around that content house had audio on it, so obviously he was being filmed from every angle. However he reacted towards what I said was gonna be exposed to the world. He knew it. He knew everything that was on camera will eventually come to light, because that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna expose it, because it's what he has done is wrong, and I've got so much footage, of police arresting the boys, of police kicking down the boys' doors, of police intimidating and assaulting people that I'm very close to. And guess what? Not once have I posted it up. Not once have I ever tried to belittle the cops for what they've done. The only thing I've ever said about police that I've hated is the fact that corrupt police should not be in the force, This right here is about that corrupt piece of shit that came to my content cast and exposed the address. This is about him. He needs to be kicked off the freaking force, No one in Australia should be trusting this bloke with our lives, Like every police officer that's out there, we trust them with our lives. We hope that they will live up to the power that has been granted to them. You know what I mean? The stress, the issues that goes on in my private life is because of police. But it's my fault. I'm the one who went and committed all those sins in my past. So I have to deal with this type of crap every single day. And this is why I always go live and I tell the younger generation, if you are daring to go out and commit crime and join gangs, there's no turning back from that. You will learn from the consequences, and you will learn when you start trying to live an actual proper life, and you can't. Why? Because the police will always be knocking at your door, just like they were knocking at my door that day. You know what I mean? Kicking down your door, they'll be kicking down your parents' door, kicking down your guardian's door, harassing your missus, harassing your kids. This is what happened when you choose to live this type of life. The Sweetness chose to marry me. She knew full well that this is what she would have to go through, getting harassed by police, getting our door kicked down, having police get up in our faces. What we didn't want was corrupt acts falling upon us. I never ever thought it would happen again after I got locked up. So for those of you who don't know, the police who arrested me, that was a corrupt act, because the deal was already struck where I was going to hand in guns, drugs, and money for my brother to get a good result, at court. So the police, they give you a certificate once a deal has been struck, and that certificate will help a criminal or a better sentence at court from the judge. So that certificate usually goes to the judge. Anyway, instead of that happening, the police reneged on the deal, and they turned around and arrested me for the guns, drugs, and money that I was gonna hand in already. Anyway, this story's been just said a million times. Everyone can find this story on my other videos, so I'm not gonna explain it again. My wife, she's like a strong-willed person. Complications that she goes through, the issues in our relationship is all due to the antics of authorities. For example, when we got arrested at the airport and she got handcuffed, that was big distress on her, not only on her shoulders, but on her body. She called me that night, and she kept complaining about her shoulder and her elbow. I knew straight away it was because of when she got handcuffed. And I knew she was just trying to stay strong, because she kept saying, "Oh, I'm okay though." When we're together and we're talking about certain things, like she would get cranky because certain things that happen when she's by herself, hours on end. Like she can't stand in the sun. Even when she goes to the beach, she hides from the sun. And these freaking corrupt dogs,
made her stand in the sun the whole time, and they wouldn't let her have water, wouldn't let her call her lawyer. This is what you call a corrupt act, yeah? There's things that cops do to get on the nerves of criminals, such as searching their parents' houses or pulling you over for random rubbish that's on your car, you know, for like a broken tail light or something like that. This is what they did to Rafat Al-Madin, yeah? Just to get on his nerves, you know. These are the things that they do to innocent people like my wife, just because she's married to me, or because these people know who I am, or these people know who that Rafat Al-Madin is, or these people know who that bikie is. Like, cops will go out of their way to do things like this just to piss people off, you know, with the hope that they would react. And I know for a fact that cop, he came with the intention to piss me off, with the hope that I would react. And remember, if I threw a punch that day, I would be back in prison, and the cops will be laughing at me. The prison officers will be laughing at me, and then I wouldn't be able to be there for my wife, and I wouldn't be able to be there for my parents who are sick, and I wouldn't be able to see my beautiful son being born. But I maintained composure. I kept my mouth shut. Now I made my formal complaint, you know, and I'm going to be taking this to court, because I'm not going to stand for this. There's murders happening on our streets every year, and what nobody knows is the reason why gangs are executing their missions to murder their rivals is because police are the ones handing over these addresses. There is no way that these criminal gangs would be able to get their enemies' addresses if it wasn't for the police handing them over. You know, corrupt acts, accepting proceeds of crime, in return handing over details that they may use to their advantage. But everybody out there who is like team police is sitting there swearing at me right now through the TV screen, not understanding what I'm trying to explain. I do not hate police. I'm just explaining facts. This is what happens on a daily basis, yeah? Corrupt police all over the place, and the stats here in Australia for corruption is on a level that it doesn't need to be on. This is a free country, free speech, and we should be loving the fact that we are able to walk our streets freely, knowing full well that we have police who will protect us no matter what. Innocent lives are being taken on the streets, not only from gangs and criminal acts, but innocent lives are being taken because police helping make this happen. The whole point of this show right now is to expose this specific Raptor Force officer, because he does not need to be given this honor. This bloke needs to be kicked out. All right. If a shooting happens at this place, it wouldn't be because of me. Remember, there's 7 of us that do content there, yeah? Everyone that does content there is known on social media. Out of the 7 of us, there's 4 boys who have dramas with other gangs, you know, and these 4 boys are known to get along with me. Now, I don't have any issues with the gangs that they had issues with, but as soon as they see where I do content, and as soon as they hear this officer give up the address, there could be a chance that these guys will come there looking for those 4 boys that do content, you know, because they got big dramas. I was going up at the officer and I was saying to him, if anything happens to this beautiful family next door, it's on your freaking head, because you are the one that opened your mouth knowing full well that this was on live. And not only did you open your mouth, you opened your mouth with a smirk on your fucking face. This is what pissed me off. I apologize for the profanity, but this is how angry I am, you know, and for me to maintain composure took a lot. So when I'm using profanity in order to release my frustration, forgive me, because this is the only way that I'm able to maintain composure, is to release it by using a bit of profanity. My beautiful wife, again, she's in the mix. Again, the distress that came her way after what happened that day is something that I can't explain. The headaches, the frustrations, the sleepless nights is not just from her pregnancy. It's from the fact that she sits there and hopes that I'm not going to do something stupid to get locked up. She sits there and thinks, oh, I hope the police don't turn up today and handcuff me again, you know. And like you guys heard in the video that we did before, she was so embarrassed because the whole friggin' airport side that we were at were all filming and watching her while she was handcuffed behind, and her friggin' gut is hanging out because she's friggin' pregnant. We're gonna leave it at that. I think that this is a learning curve for the both of us. Obviously, we both didn't expect that to happen, right? Especially from police.
Yeah, but even the guy at the back, the second guy I didn't like him either because he was laughing as well when that first officer said the address.
Yeah.
He knew he was laughing too.
There you go. I didn't see this officer laugh. I saw him stick up for his colleague. There he goes. It came out of her own mouth that he was laughing. Because remember, if you see the video and I'm going off at the officer that said the address, my back was towards that officer. I wasn't even looking at him because he was out at the back on my side. And that just shows him laughing. It just shows that they turned out on purpose and intentionally exposed my address to my followers with the hope that my haters will get it and something will happen to me or to my wife. Why else would they say it? They obviously don't care about me, or they obviously don't care about my wife and my son that's about to be born. They obviously don't care about my beautiful neighbors. So why else would they say that address? They said it because they wanted something to happen. These fucking little mutts. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. It is what it is with Triggz and my beautiful wife, Sweetness.